Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together in what we call the boot camp, or these days I call it the sanctuary. So it's not just for our body, it's also for our mind, for emotion. So today, for those of you who are new here, you might not know this, but we alternate every week. Last week, we practiced mainly the breathing exercise, which has a important benefit of restoring your autonomous nerve harmony and your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Today we continued on that. In the end, also working on your sympathetic nerve, which um, that disorder of the sympathetic nerve and the parasympathetic nerve is the source of a lot of our illnesses these days. But today we're going to focus more on chi, as in life energy. And so I'm going to explain as we practice. And in the end, we're going to do a floor exercise. Every week we do that. And this week we're going to be doing a Qigong exercise, one of the original Qigong exercise. So let's do some massage, and we're going to massage starting with the fingertips, work all the way to the toes. We're going to do some tapping from the top of the head all the way to the bottom of the feet. So I want you to take your left hand, focus on the fingers, focus on the fingertips, and then I want you to take the right thumb and then just use the thumb to massage the fingertips. All right. Now, a lot of people call this kind of massage uh, fascia massage. Fascia is in connective tissue. So that's a pretty good distinction from regular massage of the muscle or the tendon. So the reason I said that is that you don't need to use a lot of strength. This is all about exciting the energy channel. So just gently massage your fingertips. And then now, once you're done with the fingertips, you can then work on the joints. And once again, just kind of massage it gently as if you're exciting these energy channels. And at the same time, I want you to pay attention to the reaction of your body, see if there's any pain and numbness and tightness, and see if you're generating some heat and comfort. And just want you to be totally aware of your body as you massage, giving it some loving kindness. And I want you to focus on your fingers, one finger at a time. And then I want you to focus one joint at a time. Okay. And once you're done with the joint, I want you to learn the practice of leaving that joint, leaving it behind you. Okay. So everything we do here is, in fact, a meditation. Meditation, not necessarily just finding a safe place to be quiet, to be away from all the disturbance outside, but it's also a way to really discover the inside, our innermost energy. All right. So we're done with the palm of the hand now. We're going to turn it and work on the back of the hand. Once again, we're starting at the fingertip. And this time, we're going to use the thumb and the index finger and just put that on the two corners of the fingernail and do a little bit of massage. So this is not just a physical practice, it's also a spiritual practice. So you need to learn about feeling the difference in, hey, I have a cat in the house. She's like, how are you doing? Okay. All right. So now we're going to massage the back of the hand once again on the joints. Okay. On the joints. So I will talk about the inner strength. And it's hard to explain in that I believe that there's human kindness. A core, an inner core is human kindness, is compassion and kindness. All right. Now we're going to work on between the knuckles, and this time I want you to hold the fist together lightly, right? And then use the right thumb, use the edge of thumb, and put it in between the knuckles. Sometimes those compassion and loving kindness and gratitude doesn't show up because we are hindering it. That's why we call it hindrances. And then I want you to work on the back of the hand between the bones, okay? Between the bones. And it's often I said it's like the black cloud that covers the sun, right? We don't see the sun, but the sun is always there. We just don't see it. We turn our back to it. Now I want you to massage the joint, the wrist in the back of the wrist, and you can feel the two dimple. I want you to do a little acupressure right here. Okay, there she is. Okay, all right, all right. And so sometimes we don't see our inner strength, and what we're trying to do here is to review those inner strength by learning how to manage our emotion, how to manage those black clouds, hopefully pushing those black clouds away to review our inner strength. Okay, so now we're done on both sides, and I want you to come back to the left thumb and massage that thumb. And so when you're here, you're practicing and you're practicing what I call mindfulness. So even when you do exercise and massage, you're in fact practicing mindfulness by anchoring your mind on your body. And once you do that, then it's like putting away the black cloud. Your mind doesn't drift somewhere else to the dark places, and then the inner strength reveal itself. Your loving kindness, your compassion, your gratitude reveal itself. And the beings around you that's going to recognize that are their pets. The animal recognizes that, right? The animal recognizes that. All of a sudden, if they feel very protected by the loving kindness and compassion, and they come to you. So I'm not a pet owner, but I do take care of pets on location when my family travels, especially, for example, my son and girlfriend came here for the Mother's Day, brought two dogs and a cat, and then because they have so much luggage, and so they want to leave the cat behind for a week. Also, it's a nice place. It's a big place for the cat, and so the cat had a great time here. Initially, very nervous and now, like 10 days later, he's running around. And whenever I practice in the morning, whether I do it in Cantonese and English, whatever pet that I have in the house, they will come to me. They will come. They will. Cat is a little bit more curious, but then also at the same time, little bit more insecure or maybe cautious. And she doesn't actually come in here that often. But if the German Shepherd that I have, what's interesting is that he wouldn't leave the house. He would not leave the house when I'm practicing here. He would just stay outside and as if he's part of the group. And that tells you how powerful your inner core is, that the animals are the first one that recognizes it. Okay. Now, after you finish massaging your thumb, I want you to focus on this part of the thumb. There's a part of the thumb here that has a energy point. And so I want you to use your knuckle and just kind of put some pressure on that and then put some pressure on that. Right now, it turns out that when you massage yourself, you can use your fingers. There are times when you have to use your fingers, and then there are times you can actually use this part of the thumb. For example, there's an energy point right in the center of the palm, and you can just use your this part of the thumb and just kind of massage the center of your palm like this, and then the center of your palm like this. You can use the knuckle. You can use the knuckle. Okay. Now I want you to put the palms together. This is the energy point here. That's very important. It's the heating end. It's the only energy point that can actually put out energy. So and just kind of rub it together, generating some energy. Now put the right palm on top of the left, and then kind of squeeze the fingers slightly. Now I want you to massage the back of the hand, the palm of the hand, as well as in between the fingers. Same thing on the other side. So I told this story the other day to my Cantonese student. I have a cousin um, uh, still living in Macau where I was born. So whenever I visit, he becomes my Dharma teacher because he's been a Buddhist for a long time. And so he was telling me how one time he actually did a short trip to Thailand, and he was temporary. What would you call that? He became a monk for 7 days, right? So he got to know his master really well, and turns out that his master, uh, every once in a while, will go into the forest as for his seclusion. They don't go in the cave. There's not that many caves, so he just went into the forest, away from the people, and the students. He was telling the students about how he does that, um, and then the students kind of got curious. They said, "Well, how come you never carry any food when you go into the forest? Right? You be there for 7 days. Sometimes even 3 months, but you have no food." He says, "Oh, I don't need any food." He says, "When I'm in there meditating, the animals would bring me food." That's amazing. So the animals would bring them whatever wild fruit that they have in the forest, bananas, whatever, and offer that to him. The animals would do that just because the purity of his mind resonates with the animals, and they uh, they uh, they, they would do that. That's a true story. All right. So now I want you to continue to work on your fingers. The fingers turn out to be very important. So I want you to take your hand and just kind of twist the finger, rub it all around. And for those of you who have pet, when you meditate, don't force them to meditate with you, but you will find that they kind of like to stay around anyway, right? So a lot of my friends, they actually meditate with the pets. They have the little, sitting there for themselves, and they have a little one for the pet, and they will meditate together. I do that. I do that. All right. Now, one last thing you want you to do is take the fingers and just kind of pull on it. Now, one of the things I want you to focus on when you do this finger exercise, see, this finger massage is the pain. It's the pain. And I want you to understand that there's acute pain and then there's chronic pain, just like there's acute inflammation and chronic inflammation, right? Acute pain, it's just your body reacting to external disturbances, whether you fall or somebody, trip you or whatever, or you're attacked by external agents, and your body inflames, you have pain, you fix it somehow, right? Whatever it is, and they will go away, and that's fine. That's just part of your everyday living. But then when it becomes chronic, then that's a problem. When it becomes chronic, that's a problem. Okay. All right. So now we can. I'm going to continue to talk, and then but I don't want to stop the exercise. So the next one is a very famous qigong exercise, and it's particularly good for people who are recovering from a minor stroke, or if that you want to prevent a stroke. The reason that it's good is because the Chinese believe that the fingers represents the five elements: the water, the vegetation, the sun, the fire, right? In this case, the soil, and then the mineral, and then at the same time it reflects on the internal organs. The fire is the heart, the water is the kidney, and the vegetation is the liver, and then the soil is the splint, and then also the mineral is the lung. So by working on the fingers, you're actually working on the internals as well. It's just very simple exercise. Just take the hands out, take the thumb and the index finger, put them together, and just squeeze as hard as you can. That's it. And then the middle finger, squeeze as hard as you can. Now, if you're actually recovering from stroke, you would have a hard time doing this. But then what you find is that it just helps you to recover. All right. So, and then we continue by taking the thumb, put it in the middle of the index finger, and squeeze as hard as you can. And squeeze as hard as you can. And then finally, the little fingers. All right. So that's the first exercise. The second exercise also has to do with the hand, but this time it more has to do with the left brain and the right brain. And these days, there's a better, much more understanding of dementia. And it turns out that dementia, well, first of all, dementia is now officially called the, um, is officially related to diabetic, right? You have the first kind of diabetes, which you're born with. The second kind of diabetes is basically type 2 diabetes, is basically a lifestyle disease. And then type 3 diabetes, inflammation of the vessels in the brain, is now called dementia, right? And dementia starts when you actually the first symptom of dementia is balance. It's the left brain and right brain. So this next exercise focus on the fingers, which are tied to the brain, because human beings develop with fingers. Dog develop with smell, right? Dog develops with smell. Cats develop by eyesight. We develop with fingers. We're the first animal in the animal kingdom that knows how to use a thumb, and we never stop. So fingers is a key to the neurological health. Not only that, it also allows us to exercise one brain at a time. So I want you to sit up straight, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back, relax. Then I want you to take your right hand out using your left brain. I want you to use each of the fingers individually. I want you to bring in your thumb, then two fingers, then index, and then the little fingers. Then I want you to bring down the right hand, lift up the left hand. Once again, one finger at a time, the thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Then I want you to bring up both hands and I want you to squeeze the fist as hard as you can. Then I want you to open up the fingers in reverse order. Right hand first, using left brain, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then stretch it as hard as you can. That's the first time. I'm going to do 3 times. All right. Second time, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Left hand, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Squeeze, open, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then stretch. One last time, right hand, thumb, two fingers, little index, little fingers. Left hand, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Squeeze as hard as you can. Right hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then stretch as hard as you can. All right? Okay, so that's a finger exercise mainly for the neurological health. It's a very old exercise, right? Okay, so we're going to continue to work on the fingers, and this time I want you to put the palms together, the fingers together, push it, and then sit up straight and then lift up your elbow so that your arms are horizontal. Okay, now keeping your palm together, I want you to bring your palms down, stretching, feeling the pain on your wrist, and then come back. We're going to tap on the fingertips now. Get ready? Go. Okay, then we're going to cross the fingers. We're going to tap that 30 times as well. Get ready? Go. Okay, now we're going to tap the two very important energy points on the palm of the hand. One is down from the little fingers, and one is down from the thumb. This one is what we call the mind, right? Mental acuity, and then this one is associated with the lung. And so first we're going to put the palms together like that, forming a V, and then muscle against muscle. Get ready, go. And then the other way, thumb against thumb. Get ready. This is the energy point that I said you would use when you massage yourself. Okay. Get ready. Go. Okay. Now this is the yin side. Yin is the absence of the sun. This is the yang side. This is facing the sun. And so we're going to work on the back of that. The back of that is the small intestine. The back of the lung is the large intestine. There's a great association between intestinal health or digestive health and your mental power. All right. So this energy point is right on the edge. All right. So you take your hand, you fold it, you see the line, it starts right there. And this time I'm going to put the palm flat like this, roll up the fingers, forming a soft fist, and tap that 30 times. Okay, now this is the small intestine, this is the large intestine. This energy point is actually very magical, and it's good for a lot of things. You can look it up on the web. But one of the things that it does is that it relieves pain in your body. So earlier I talked about pain. I talked about chronic pain, not acute, chronic things you just feel it every day. Now, one of the problem with living in the Western world, benefiting from the Western medicine, is that we have all these ways of masking the pain, masking the symptom of something much deeper than just the pain. And so when you have chronic pain, it's because you have chronic inflammation. And very often we say, oh, that's just fine. That's just the fingers having arthritis or whatever. But what you don't understand is that the Chinese doesn't think of it as components. They think of it as a body. So when you have inflammation in one place, it means that you have inflammation all over. And the Chinese associate qi, which is the word that we will translate into life energy. Qi, in this case, is actually life energies in the universe that happen to flow through your body. And so the North Indian talk about the nadis, the chakras, right? You all know about that, right? The nadis are these 72,000 lines of energy that flow through the body. It's the universe, right? So you can have life without life energy. That's what we call zombies, right? So you want to be healthy. Not only do you want to be living, a living being, but you want it to be a living being to have live energy. There she is. She's just so curious. All right. So so when that knowledge came to the Chinese, they abstracted, they simplified it by associating with the flow of energy with the clock, and so they divide the 24-hour clock into 12 2-hour zone, and then they explain that in terms of energy flowing in and out of the body. But these meridians are actually channels through which live energy from the universe would flow. And when those channels are blocked, then your body inflame. Okay, so the Chinese think that if you can clear this channel, you will reduce inflammation because you will reduce pain because you reduce inflammation. All right. So even though we work on the fingers, we're actually working on the entire energy. And so this is one point that does a very good job in clearing these channels, entire body, and therefore reduce pain. Now, next time you have a muscle climb, or you would know, right? So this is how you use this energy point. Let me show you how to do that. You take your index finger and your thumb, you open it, stretch it out. You see this indentation as if there's a valley, right? Then you take your thumb, your right thumb, you see this line, you put the line on the ridge of that valley, and then you just push down. And you push down until you feel like a little bit of tender, a little bit of soreness, right? Same thing on the other side. All right. Now, next time when you have cramps, muscle cramps, I often have that in the middle of the night. I'm I spend a lot of time studying my body and how it reacts to different things. It turns out that the soy sauce that we use in the United States are not naturally fermented. They're basically industrial soy sauce. And some restaurants use a particular soy sauce that after if I go out to eat with my family, I come home in the middle of the night, I would have cramps, right, muscle cramps. And so I'm too lazy to get up in the middle of the night and to drink water or whatever. So I just relax and then I just kind of push in this, if it's right leg, I push it on the left. If it's the other way, and then you just push it really hard, right? And it's just transferring the pain into your thumb, kind of. But actually, more accurately, is that you're clearing your energy channel. You're clearing your energy channel so that your body heal itself. And so, first thing that happens is that you still feel the tightness of your muscle, but you don't feel the pain, and that allows you to relax, go back to sleep. That's my trick, and and I'm finally understanding that it has to do with the soy sauce, right? All right. Okay. So I often ask this question. It says, Danny, I haven't been here a long time and I'm back now. Can you tell me, how I fix this problem or that problem? Well, first of all, the big problem is that you haven't been here a long time. So there's no cure for that. So, I mean, my advice is that, well, then come back and continue and be persistent. I practice 6 times a week. Um, and I actually, most of the time, English class is a little bit different because I'm interacting with you. I'm concerned about the questions you ask and so forth. But when I do my Cantonese class, I do basically the entire class with my eyes closed. And everyone, so I open the eye just to make sure that the students are there. Because it had happened that my internet went out and the screen is black and I'm still there, right? So I just have to open my eye to make sure my students are there. My point is, I do what I do whether or not you're there. Seriously, I do what I do whether or not you are there. Okay. Now it helps me to be persistent when I know that you're there. Okay. But if you have problem you want to solve, then you just have to solve it. And you solve it by being here, not by making excuses and not being here. And once you're here, you take the holistic approach where you have a lot of problems in your body and understand that they're symptoms. They're just symptoms. And if you just work on it, work on it, work on it, and surprisingly, those symptoms will go away. All right. Okay. So we do that, and then we take the same thinking, this energy point that we tap, and we just put on top, and we tap that 30 times. Okay. And then the other side. Okay. All right. So the next exercise we're going to do is the fingers. We're going to continue to do the fingers, and that's a really good way of really clearing the channel by sending energy out and then feeling the reaction coming back. So before we do that, we're going to clear the channel on our arm. Okay, so we're going to take our knuckles, using the knuckles, and we're going to identify the inside of the arm, and then there's a center line, there's one above but below the bone, and then there's one below. So we're going to first work on the center line. The center line is the pericardium. And so we're going to use the knuckle. We're going to start at the elbow and go down and back and go down and back. Okay. Now this finishes the center line, which is the pericardium. Then I'm going to move up to the bone, and just below the bone is the lung. Same thing from the elbow to the wrist and back. One more time and back. And now we're going to scrape on the bone. And then now the other side of the bone is the large intestine. And then the center line is what we call the triple warmer. And now we're going to scrape the back of the hand. Now, scraping the back of the hand is a very good practice if you have a lot of finger paint. So this is how you do it. Just kind of scrape on it, scrape on it. Okay. Now, a lot of times, pain, like I said, pain is the body crying out, right? To pain is because chronic pain is because you have chronic inflammation. So we often do two things. One is that we take pain medicine, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't take pain medicine. I'm just saying that the pain medicine masks the symptom, right? The other thing that we do is avoid touching them because they're painful. And so here we're confronting the pain by scraping on this energy channel with the belief that if you clear the energy channel, you reduce inflammation and therefore you will reduce pain. Okay, so we're back to the center line. Rotate the arm so we're on one side of the bone, on top of the bone, and then the inner side of the bone, and then the center part. Okay, And then along the fingers, so it's the little fingers at the wrist, all the way to the elbow, back to the wrist. Okay, so that's one side. We're going to work on the other side. So earlier I talked about how sometimes I have students says, "Oh, I've been away for a long time. I'm coming back, and so I welcome you back." I'm not trying to belittle you by saying that you're just making excuses. That's not what I'm saying. I make excuses all the time for all kinds of things. This is just about prioritizing, right? You know, this is life. I can't be everything to everyone everywhere at the same time. That's just not possible, right? So I have to make excuses, and idea of making excuses is essentially I'm prioritizing. I'm thinking that this is more important to me. I focus on that, and then the other things I just say, hey, it's not my problem. That's just life. All right. Okay. So now center point. Now, again, dealing with pain and confronting pain is not the same as, beating up yourself. Right? It's not the same. It's not the same as torturing yourself. It's not like I'm painful and I'm just, keep working on it until the pain goes away. No, if you have a spring angle, you're not going to, you know, keep hanging on that spring angle, thinking that you would endure the pain. No, this is different philosophy. This philosophy says that you have chronic pain because you have chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation comes from blockage of this energy channel. You will go a little further. These energy channel, sometimes you will call fascia, but fascia mainly deals with muscle, right? Myofascia. Whereas the Chinese, they think of the fascia, the connective tissue, as something that connects everything, in between cells, in between organs, in between, and they actually believe that that's a communication channel that is beyond the understanding of the Western science, and it turned out to be a very important. Uh, but on the other hand, there's increasing interest in that, right? For example, scraping, right? Scraping is a good way to relieve pain, and the Western scientists are starting to understand that, right? So they study that, right? All right. So now we cleared the channel and we're ready to do the finger work. The finger works are very important if you have chronic pain, from carpal tunnel from your fingers using your repetitive action. So this is a good way. All right. So get back to this body, sit up straight, open the shoulder, lean back, relax, pointing all 10 fingers towards the camera, lock your elbow, roll up the four fingers, hold it down with the thumb. The four fingers are the spring. Let's wind up the spring. The fingers are the what's holding down the springs. And we're going to get ready. Go one, two. Wind up the fingers first. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and 10. All right. Now open the shoulder, lean back, relax. And then now take your hand, form the lotus hand by touching your thumb and the middle fingers. Open up the fingers like this, and then put that in front of the shoulder. Open up the shoulder. All right. Now I'm trying to push the hip forward so you feel a little bit of stress on the lower back. And back of the hand facing the camera. Get ready. One, back, and the hand facing camera. Two, rotate, twist your hand like this, huh? Okay, so this is very good for pulse and shoulder. Get ready. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and 10. Okay, all right. Okay, so now we start with the fingers. We're working up towards the top of the head, and now we're going to work on the back of the neck. Right. So one of the things that I talked about in the past is um, mindfulness for competitive advantage. Mindfulness as a tool to improve your competitive advantage. So many of you who've been with me know that before I retired, before I devoted my full time to my practice, helping with my parents, helping with my other students, I was an entrepreneur. And before that, I was a university professor. So I know a thing or two about competitive advantage, right? How to deal with stress, how to improve your mental sharpness, and all that. Well, it turns out that mindfulness, our spiritual practice, learning how to anchor your mind on your body when you move, anchor your mind on your breath when you're stationary, where you're sitting, standing, or lying down, allows you to manage your emotion so that either you can use your emotion intelligently or that you can learn to use your body and your breath as intelligent agent into your emotion, both of which are very important. We call that emotional intelligence. Well, it turns out that mindfulness is a competitive advantage. So I understand what you said, Allison, that your job prevents you from your spiritual practice. I just want you to think about it differently, as opposed to the practice of something that you can do when you have time. You think of it as something that you must do to improve your other parts of life, whether it's about your job, it's about your family, it's about whether you're in school or out of school. It can improve your competitive advantage. All right, and um, and this is coming from someone who have spent a lot of time in a very competitive world. Okay, and being um, a university professor and as well as a entrepreneur building two companies. All right, so now we're going to work on the back of our neck. And so I want you to take your hands, lock it, put it in the back of your head. Then I want you to use the thumb, slide down until you find this cavity. Then I just want you to massage it first. Massage that first. Now, a lot of you last week we talked about how to improve the quality of sleep or just improve sleep in general, you know. And you will find that the back of your neck is the places where you want to massage. So this is the cavity that we named it, call it the pond of winds. Okay, so now I want you to do some acupressure by taking your thumb and just push into this cavity, not your fingernail. Okay, just push it with your palm and I want you to sit up straight, looking straight ahead, and just hold that pressure as if you're squeezing the water hose. And then relax. All right. Now, I want you to take your right arm, put it under your ear. There's a cavity there, and this one actually is also very good for improving the quality of your sleep, relaxing. Um, and then I want you to massage by pulling your fingers towards the center of your neck, one at a time. But I want you to kind of whisper to yourself as if you're giving loving kindness to your own body. And then the other side, same thing. Massage below the ear and then pull over like this. Okay. Then I want you to take your right arm and massage from the top of the ear down. Same thing on the other side. Then I want you to come back and massage between the cavity that we identified earlier and the ear, there's like a bone, the high part of the skull, and just massage that. Now, once you massage it with your fingertip, you realize that you trap a lot of stress in this thing here. Just massage that. Then I want you to massage the neck, squeeze the neck, and perhaps use this part of your thumb and just kind of put some pressure on one side, do it on the other side, okay? And then squeeze it together like this. Now this part happened to be the place where you want to reduce your high blood pressure anyway. Because high blood pressure, it mostly has to do inside you. Then I want you to move in the middle of the neck. There's another two energy points right here. And just learn to massage your neck. Once again, use your palm like this. Use your palm like this, okay? And just kind of fall over. All right. Then I I want you to massage the shoulder. So these things you want to do before you go to sleep, just kind of relax you, okay? And then the shoulder like this, all right? And thank you, Allison. Yeah, thank you for the feedback. And so in my case, I'm not in business anymore. I don't really have a job that pays me anything. And so I focus on myself, I focus on my family. And I tell you, my practice, my spiritual practice, learning how to deal with my own emotion, learning how to view the inner strength, really brings a lot of peace to my family. And there's nothing more important to me right now. Okay. And I'm very grateful for that. Okay. All right. So now we're done with the neck and the shoulder. Let's work on the face. Let's work on the face. So I'm going to talk about the 8 cavities. So these are the 8 cavities that the Chinese knows about that they believe would promote longevity. There's 5 in upper torso, and then there's 3 below the waist. Okay, so the one behind the ear is a cavity for longevity, and then also around the eye is another one. So before we get to the eye, let's just focus on the center of the palm again, and then kind of rub that. And if you want, you can use the thumb to kind of do some massage on the center of the palm, or you can just put it together and rub it in a circular motion like this. Then I want you to form an empty hand, put that in front of your eye. And so you're not putting pressure on your eyeball, you're just like putting a cover on it. But then I want you to open your eye and check to see if there's any light leaking through the fingers or the palm. And then I want you to adjust it so that you see only darkness. Okay? All right. Now get ready. First time. And then put that on your eye. Open your eye. Not much. Second time. And you should feel some warmth now because the eye is adjusting to the infrared that you're generating at the center of your palm. Third time. Okay. Now I want you to massage the face gently from the forehead down to the chin. Then I want you to massage the side of the face. Then I want you to take the center of your palm, put that on the temple, and just massage. Now, there's one energy point that traps a lot of stress, and it would help you sleep if you massage that, and that's between the eyebrow. Okay, between the eyebrow, and you can feel it. You can feel it. Then I want you to massage the forehead, and then I want you to massage where the hairs comes into a triangle, like a corner. Then I want you to massage what we call the brain. This is the part of the brain that is responsible for your cognitive function. Then I want you to massage the back of the brain, the part that is responsible for your memory. Then the lower part, which is the part that is responsible for your motor function. And my father suffered from dementia. You can see it just progressing. Okay? First is the cognitive function, then is the memory, then is the motor function. Okay? I told a joke. It's not so funny, but I said, how do you know you have dementia? Well, if you take off your shoe, you put it somewhere safe, and the next day you couldn't find it, that's just your memory. And if you finally find it and it's in the refrigerator, that's your cognitive function. And if you couldn't even put it in the refrigerator, that's your motor function. Not so funny. Sorry. Okay. But that's life. It was tough taking care of my dad for so many years. All right. So now we're going to work on the eyes. The eyes is very important as we get old, right? And if you don't believe that, go to the eye clinic and you will see so many people there with all kinds of problems as they age, right? Okay, so now around the eyes, it's very simple. There are 8 energy points, 3 on the eyebrow, 3 on the eye back, and 1 below the eye back. So let's work on the eyebrow first. There's an energy point right at the beginning of the eyebrow. And I want you to kind of massage it first to find it. You will find a cavity, little dimple. That's the one. And then just press on it using the fingertips. Use a little bit of force on your neck. All right. And then now put the fingers in between and then just kind of massage your eyebrow as if you're squeezing toothpaste. And this has an additional benefit because not only it massage the three important energy points, but it also clears the oil tubes. And if you have, if you don't have any oil, your eye gets very dry, and we all know that, right? As we get old, we need a lot of artificial tears. But the problem is not with tears. The problem is with the oil, right? Now we're going to work on what's below the eye. So we take the index finger and we put it right outside of the corner of the eye, right? As if you're putting on the bridge of your nose, but it's closer to the corner of the eye. So just press on it, and then now take the thumb and just kind of gently massage from the corner to the tail, right? One of the problems with having too much stress is that you don't have enough collagen, because collagen and melatonin are the two hormones in the body that doesn't show up if you have too much of cortisol. If you don't have enough melatonin, you're going to have a problem sleeping, and if you don't have enough collagen, you're going to get very bad skin. Right? So this kind of massage that remove some of the wrinkles by removing some of the um, stress hormone. All right. So now we're going to do some eye yoga. And so we're going to take a thumb and we put it back where this point is, like this, right? It's just a little easier way to use the thumb. All right. Just put some pressure, right? It's, again, the energy point is right outside of the corner of the mouth on both sides of the bridge of your nose. Right? Just put some pressure on that. Easier, we just use the thumb. Now close your eye. Okay. You don't just gently, okay? Gently put some pressure on it. It's enough. Now we're going to do some eye yoga, and we're going to rotate the eyeballs up as if you're looking at the ceiling, then to the right as if you're looking very far, then down as if you're looking at the floor, then left again, back to up. Okay, so now we're going to do clockwise: up, right, down, left, up, right, down, left, up, right, down, left. Back to up, we're going to do counterclockwise: left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up. Open your eyes. This energy point is called the right eye. Okay, very bright. Right? All right. So now we're going to take two fingers and just kind of massage from the corner of the eye to the corner of the mouth to the chin. Okay. Now we have one more energy point for the eye, which is right here, right below the eye bag. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the one that reduce reduce the wrinkle around your eye, which mainly has to do with lack of collagen. And one of the reasons for lack of collagen is that you have too much stress hormone. And so to reduce the wrinkle, we just take a thumb and just kind of slide it like this. Just gently massage. It helps if you whisper to yourself and just say, I'm so happy you're with me. You are so gratified that your body as your companion. Like this, it helps. Look at me. All right. So two more right here. Okay. Oh, did we do this one yet? Okay. Do this one and then do this one. And then massage the neck. Okay. Now the neck is where you sense oxygen into your brain. And if there's not enough oxygen in your brain, it increases your blood pressure. Okay. So blood pressure is a symptom, but if you mask it by taking blood pressure medicine, then you're basically ignoring the fact that you don't have enough oxygen in your brain. All right. Okay, so now we go to the ear. Then the ears are important. The Chinese believe that the ear has a shape of the fetus, so therefore it reflects all the energy points in your body into your ear. Since when we were born, naturally out of the womb of mother, head goes first, right? So essentially, this is upside down. So above is more to do with your kidney, below is more to do with your eye. So we're going to learn to massage your ear lobes, which Chinese believe that actually it helps your eye. We're going to learn to massage the tip at the top, which helps with your kidney function. All right. So now put the thumb inside, fingers in behind, massage, middle, massage, and then below, massage, and then the, the tip of the ear, massage, yank the edge of the ear all the way down to the earlobe, massage. And then put the thumb behind the earlobe, the fingers outside, massage. Then we're going to massage the back of the ear, which helps with high blood pressure. And so take your thumb and just kind of massage the edge of the ear all the way down. Then two fingers, one on the ear, one on the skull, and down. Okay? All right, the other side. And then two fingers and down. All right? So two behind, stretch, cover the ear, and then go boom like this. Okay? Two, and then three. All right. So a lot of things that I talk about, and I look, I say, okay, do this, and it helps with this, and you do this, and it helps with this, and you look at it and say, wow, does it really work like this? It's not even scientific. It's not. It's not experimentally scientific, right? And last week I talked about my mom being in the hospital, and so for 10 days, uh, all we had was experimental science. Okay, all we had was experimental science, but it was great science. It was amazing science, right? My mom went into the hospital because she had problem breathing. She was retaining too much water to the point where she was wheezing and having difficult breathing, and the heart was. So I took her to the emergency. The only reason I took her to the emergency because I didn't want to call the ambulance, because the ambulance doesn't take us to the hospital they want to go to. They will take you to the nearest hospital. So she wasn't life threatening, so I thought I had time, so I took her to the hospital where they have where her cardiologists were. So she went in, and I mean, science is great, like all of a sudden they would give her oxygen to help her breathe. They would put an IV on her and start giving her diuretics so that she can pass out the water quickly, and they monitor her heart. And then in the morning, they realized that she actually have what's called atrial fibrillation, AFib, meaning that the heart would beat and then would stop, would beat, would stop. So then they start to do microsurgery. Um, First was to shock it from the outside. Then it was to put a fiber optic into her veins so that they can weld. I mean, literally doing some welding inside her heart. It was amazing science, amazing science. All the instrumentations that they have, it was amazing science. But everything that they do have side effect, right? The diuretic causes her to have urinary the bladder infection. It also hurts her kidneys, so they had to stop and then restart. And this well, that's science, but it's science in a way that addresses the components, not the whole body. Right now, the Chinese, not so much, not just the Chinese, the Indians too. It's just Oriental science. They approach it as a system of energy. It's not as quick. But my experience is that it doesn't have some of the side effect, right? It some of the side effect. Anyway, that's besides the point here. All right, relieve. What's that word? Tinnitus, right? The earrings, right? Okay, so the Chinese believe that the ear is water, which means that it has to do with the kidney. Okay, and so I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot tell you, and I don't have tinnitus myself, so I cannot say. I would just say that it has to do with your kidney energy, right? It has to do with kidney energy. So just keep coming back, keep coming back. It would help, right? It won't hurt. All right. So where are we? Okay, we're done with the eyes, huh? Okay, so now we will move to the top of the head. So let's just massage the top of the head, massage the top of the head, and then we're gonna tap the top of the head. Okay, so get ready. Put the fingers on top. Sit up straight. Don't look down. Looking straight ahead, and we're gonna tap that 30 times. 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 massage using the fingertips, top of the head, and then on the side. Okay. All right. Okay. Now I talk a lot today. I talk a lot every week. So we always run out of time, huh? Okay. So now today I'm going to focus on the eight cavities, right? I'm going to focus on the eight cavities. So um, five on the upper torso, three on the bottom. Okay, so we're done with the back of the ear, and I mentioned how that helps reducing your stress so that it will help you sleep. We're done with the eye. That's a two cavity. Then there's three more. So the next one is in the belly button. Now someone mentioned this energy point. I believe it was actually at the very bottom of your rib cage, right? Last week. And so you can also do that, but definitely you can massage your belly button. Okay. Now you can just massage like this, like this. And while you at it, you can increase the diameter, and so you can massage the large intestine. Do you happen to have constipation, right? Constipation. Okay. All right. So that's three: eye, back of the ear, and then the belly button. Four and five are the elbow and the armpit. So use this part of your thumb and just kind of massage around it, and then massage around that, and then massage the armpit, and then massage the armpit. All right. Now we're going to do some more tapping, right? Because there are places we can tap, and there are places we cannot tap. We obviously cannot tap the eyes, right? So these two we can tap. So let's just tap at the armpit first. Armpit is part of the mental, the heart energy line. And so we're going to take the elbow, put that on top of the head, sit up straight. So you're stretching this part of the tendon. Then you pinch the right ear, turn the head to the right, take out your right hand, empty hand, put that on the left armpit. Listen with the left ear. Get ready. Go. Continue. Oops. Let me take that down. Okay, the other side. Put that on top. Sit up straight. Turn your hand to the left. Left hand. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay. Someone asked me to explain about constipation. So I believe that constipation is a problem with digestion. Okay, so people often think, oh, digestion is the stomach, right? No, digestion is not the stomach. Digestion is the small intestine. Okay, actually, digestion starts with the mouth, right? So when you chew your food, and also when you actually have saliva, that's the beginning of your digestion. So problem is that a lot of people, they're so under stress that they are in fight or flight all the time, even when they're eating. So there's no saliva. And so they happen to have to drink a lot of water just to swallow the food down. That's really bad for your digestion. So you want to solve any of your problem, whether it's digestion, constipation, deal with your stress. Learn to take your body into the rest and digest. And that's what we do here. So if you know how to do that, your mouth is always wet. My mouth is always wet. You notice that I can be talking 2 hours, exercising, moving. My mouth is still wet. Okay. Now digestion starts here. Your enzyme starts here. It goes into your stomach, and the stomach actually just kind of mix it all together, grind it all down. The actual digestion is fermentation in your small intestines. So a lot of people say, "Oh, you need fiber if you have constipation." Well, that's like saying my toilet is stuck. I need to put more toilet paper in there. That makes no sense, right? So, but that's sort of a misunderstanding. Is the thing that the constipation has to do with the large intestine. Large intestine does something very simple. It just takes out the water so you don't have diarrhea. That's it. All that problem is related with the small intestine. So earlier I said, do a massage. In fact, you are massaging the whole intestinal area, whether it's small or large. One of the exercises you can do to constantly massage your intestines is with abdominal breathing. We talked about that last week. So when you can learn to breathe with your diaphragm, move it away from your shoulder instead of using the muscle in your shoulder to move the. Now go back to where we were when we were a little baby, where the only muscle that we had was the diaphragm. The rest were not developed. And so go back to that. Then you will find that you're constantly massaging the small intestines and massaging the intestine. The other thing you can do is not fiber as in bulk fiber, but water soluble fiber, things that can help with your probiotic, right? I believe in olive oil. I believe in avocado. I believe in all the grains that you can have, right? And I believe in brown rice as opposed to white rice. White rice is sugar. Okay, so learn about how to improve your probiotic and learn how to breathe with your diaphragm so you're constantly massaging that. People who go, I have a lot of experience dealing with my parents, my in-laws, and once they're in the hospital, they're lying in the bed. Once the first thing that's going to happen is constipation. So they will give them something soften the stool and it goes out, but then it doesn't help anything. The reason that they have constipation is that they're not moving anymore. Just keep moving, learning how to breathe, right? Everything we do here is good for something. All right. So we done. Did we do this yet? I think we did. Okay. Okay. So now we do the elbow. Okay. Lock the elbow and right hand. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay. The other side. Okay. So if you study the Eastern approach to health, they talk about this deficiency that you have in your energy. They will talk about yin deficiency, yang deficiency, qi deficiency, or blood deficiency. I talked about that last week, right? But all that is too complicated. It comes down to five things: constipation, insomnia, and indigestion. If you cannot consume your food, or after you eat, you feel like it's just there all the time. You're not digesting. That's a problem. If you have constipation, that's a real problem. And constipation, digestive health is associated with Parkinson. There's been a study on that. And if you cannot sleep at night or the quality of the sleep is bad, that's a problem. If you don't have saliva and you constantly have to drink water, that's a problem. If your body is so cold, your feet is cold, that's a problem. Okay, so you have to work on all that. And look at me. All right. So now we got the five cavities on top, which is the eyes, ears, belly button, all around, elbow, and then armpit. Now work on three more cavities on the lower part of our body. And the most important one is actually the bottom of your feet. So at the ball area right below, right, there's a cavity there. So we're going to use the right hand and just kind of massage that. And then do some acupressure. And then we're going to turn the toes back Then we're going to form an empty hand, cup that onto the bottom of your feet. We're going to tap that 30 times. Okay, get ready? Go. Continue. Okay, now we're going to work on the right side. So a lot of times you cannot come to this class, right? So it's whatever, just so that you know that everything here is recorded. So, all right, do some acupressure. And then we're going to tap that 30 times as well. Get ready? Go. Continue. Okay, so one of the good news about one of the benefit about coming to this class and practicing together like this, regularly, is that you will find that your response time improve. Seriously, your response time improve, and sometimes you don't even know it. You drop something to grab onto. Wow, what happened? How did that happen so fast? Right? You fall and then you take a, or if you walk and you fall and you get back up like that. Well, that's how the samurais do it. The samurais learned how to anchor the mind so they're not bothered by their own emotion and they react to the component without emotion. That's why they can pull the blade so fast. And that's how samurai trains himself. We're not samurais. We are urban samurais. Huh? So that's a good thing, right? As you get old, as you age, we want to have that ability to react, especially when we fall. Okay. All right. So two more cavities. This one is easy. It's just right behind the knee. Okay. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay. The other thing that happens besides response time, maybe it's related to it, is that you don't get frightened so easy. Right? You could be. I noticed that I'm with the family, with friends, and then I'm in the restaurant and having tea, whatever, and somebody drop a dish. Everyone in the table move like this, right? What happens? And I'm the one who says, "I heard it. It's okay. We're not in danger." All right. Okay. One last cavity is right here, right here. Okay. So we're gonna form a fist. Put that in front. All we're doing is excite it. We're not trying to beat it. Okay. Get ready. Go. Okay, and if you study it, you will find those 8 cavities of longevity, so-called. They have a lot to do with your lymphatic system. Okay. All right, so now are you ready? We're going to do some qigong exercise. This one is called Yi Jing Jing, abbreviated into YJJ. So first we're going to settle down mind. Now we're going to focus on the bottom of the feet and going to move around until the bottom of the feet is touching the floor. Try to do this barefoot, okay? The idea of qi is that it's a life energy that is within the universe. So this energy point at the bottom of the feet is called a gushing spring, as if the energy from the earth is gushing up. Then you want to open your shoulder, relax your shoulder. The energy points here is called the well on the shoulder. So you don't put the well on top of the spring, you get a dry well. Huh? So that's why you need that posture to open your shoulder and then relax. That's if you're aligning the well with the spring. Then you want to turn your toes inward and loosen up your knee. You don't have to go like this. You just have to loosen it so you don't lock it. That way you activate the calf. which the medical science, the Western medical science called the second heart. All right. Then you want to lean back your forehead, tuck in your chin. So this top of the head is called the 100 beat, is where all your yang energy come together, and you want that to be connected with the universe. So now you're forming a link. Well, actually, not so much a link, because the energy will flow with or without you. Rather, you're becoming part of the energy, part of the universe, feeling the energy that flies in within you. Then you want to take the center of your palm and you want to face that down, but you want to bring that in slightly, slightly, so that it is actually on the two sides of the core, right? Now, the most important thing is that the first form is called spirit boosting palm. So the focus is on the palm. And you want to push the palm, send a shock wave up, and then have the shock wave back in return. But you do that with your mind. So it's very important that you focus on the center of your palm. And when I say go, you ignore that, but instead you focus on the center of your palm. You focus entirely on the palm, and then you push. Okay, you ready? Go. And then relax. Now, there's a yin and a yang to this. The yang part, the energetic part, is you actually put your body into the fight or flight, sending the stress hormone, the steroid, the cortisol throughout your body, especially throughout these channels to reduce inflammation. But equally important is that you now focus on your breath. You want to put yourself into the fight, the rest and digest to restore sensitivity to the steroid. You could do that by one breath at a time. You focus entirely on your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now you feel the inside your mouth. You should feel wetness, because if you're truly in the rest and digest, it will reactivate the saliva gland. And if you don't feel the saliva, next time focus some more, or maybe put the tip of the tongue behind here. Okay, behind it. Second time, go. Back to the breathing. Focus on the breath. Okay. One last time. Get ready. Open the shoulder. Go. Back to the breath. Now the breath is just as important as the exercise. Okay. The next one is called a pointing of the wantel. Wantel is the name of this energy point. So you take your thumb, you point it here. You don't need to connect. You just have to form the circle. Now the next one is about activating the thumb. The thumb has to do with the lung and the large intestine. It's clearing those channels. And you do that by imagining putting two buckets of water hanging on the thumb, and you lift up the thumb as if you're lifting up the two buckets of water. Bend it as hard as you can. And then you relax the fingers without, but still holding the fingers up, still maintaining that half circle. Focus on your breath. Second time, back to the breath. Third time, and then relax, lower your hand, completely focus on your breath. Check the inside of your mouth. Now, next one is called beginner's mind. This is what the baby does inside the mother's womb. You focus on the center of your palm. The two energy lines here, one has to do with the heart and one has to do with the pericardium. You put the thumb across, you rub your forefingers, and you squeeze your fist as hard as you can. And then you open up, focus on the breath. It's very important that you focus on the breath, restore that harmony between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Second time, again, relax. One last time. And then lower your hand, completely relax. Focus on your breath. Check your inside your mouth. Make sure that you're reactivating the saliva gland. Now we're going to take a deep breath. We put the fists together, put it in front of the belly button. As we take a deep breath, we stretch upward and then relax. Now, some of you might know this technique called cupping, right? They put these suction cups in the back, but to open the back is there are 4 energy channels that goes up. They're named after the bladder, right? So again, bladder is a yang organ. So this is about clearing the channel. And so you do this by bringing the elbows together, and then you just take the back and you just stretch the back as if you're cracking the back open. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. Okay. Now there are 3 elements to this exercise. Stretching, meaning the fascia, meaning the connective tissue. Also cardio, and then finally is muscle. Okay. So now we come to the cardio part. So we take the fist, we put that on top of the head, we open the shoulder, we open the fingers. Then we roll the fist 1 joint, 2 joint, lock it with the thumb, open the shoulder, and we squeeze as if you're fighting with your heart. And then you relax, let the blood comes back to the fingertips. So this is a very cardio exercise. Second time, open, roll the fist, and squeeze. And then once again, relax. Back to the breath. One last time, open the shoulder and squeeze. And then relax. Okay, so that takes the heart and do some stress tests on it. So the next one is called stacking the shoulders. So you open the shoulder, you grab the daggers, you point the daggers on your shoulder, you open the shoulder, and you stab, and you feel that tightness in the back of your neck where we were massaging earlier. And then relax. Okay? So that's working on the chi channel in the neck. Second time, stab. And then relax. One last time, stab. And then relax. Back to the breath. Now, next one is called the cross. It's about stretching the triple warmer, the back of the hand. So imagine you have a tree, or you can touch it already. Okay, so you don't need to bring it back and punch. You're just pushing. All right, so first, rotate the wrist. Then roll the fist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push. And then relax. Bang means avalanche. It's as if you're pushing it to cause an avalanche. 2 breaths, second time. Bang. Completely relax. Third time. Bang. Relax. Front hang, same thing. Lock the elbow. A tree in front already, you can touch. Rotate your wrist. Roll your fist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push. And relax. Second time. And push. And then relax. One last time. And relax. Now the next 2 is about muscle, okay? Especially this part. Grab the bar, look up, and then just follow that bar as you pull yourself up, and then relax. Second time. Relax. Focus on your breath. One last time. Use that muscle. Don't use it, you lose it. We continue. This time we work on this muscle here. And I call this ripping the yellow page. Grab the yellow page, 1/2 on one side, 1/2 on the other, and just rip that open. and relax. Second time, and relax. One last time, and relax. Now the next one is about training the Dan. Dan 10. Dan means fire. It's also about swallowing the saliva. So if you don't have any saliva to swallow, you're doing it wrong. Collect all your saliva and swallow all the way down to here. Check your goat stand, back of the hand touching, straighten up your back. Okay. Now make sure you don't straighten up your knee. Okay, your knee still bent, and then just go down. Lock your elbow. Squeeze your fist one time and relax. Now, someone talk about your ear ringing, and as I mentioned, that's your kidney energy. And so this is good for your kidney energy. All the way to the end is good for your kidney energy. Second time, relax. Third time, relax. Now, without standing up, flip your hand, focus on the center of your palm, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, push, breathe in, breathe out, relax. Okay, we're going to sit for 3 minutes. I want you to just focus on your breath. Now, this is a very energetic exercise. We need to restore harmony by putting ourselves in the fight, rest and digest. We do this by first straightening up our spine, lift up our shoulder, open our shoulder, lean back, relax, lean back the forehead, tuck in our chin, relax the eyelid, and then put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth. And then we focus on the breath. Notice how rough your breathing is. So just focus on it. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now, once you know that you're breathing, I want you to focus on the belly button. This is easy to do now because you're actually huffing and puffing. So focus on the belly button. And when you know that you're breathing in, push the belly button forward. And when you know that you're breathing out, bring in your belly button. So as you push your belly button forward, you open your stomach and you're bringing down your diaphragm. As you breathe out, you bringing back the belly button, collapsing the stomach, pushing the diaphragm up. One breath at a time. Now you cannot do it, or if you're actually causing more anxiety as you move your belly button, then just use your mind. Don't insist on your body, just use your mind. The diaphragm is a funny thing. I'm a mechanical engineering professor. We used to call that viscoelastic. It's material that is elastic, but it's rate dependent, which means that the harder you push, the harder you push back. And so if you don't relax, you're not going to be able to breathe with your diaphragm. That's why only babies can breathe with your diaphragm. As we get older, we get more and more stressed out, then it's much harder to breathe with the diaphragm. That's why we don't do it. We start to use the muscle above, and that makes it even worse. Okay, 3 minutes, and then we continue meditation for another 5 minutes. Okay, now you're sufficiently relaxed, you should be able to move your belly button. It helps if you think about a blacksmith and how the blacksmith moved the bellow. Your stomach is like the bellow, and he pushes the bellow in and he pushes the bellow out to create a draft, right? So if you breathe your diaphragm, then the nose is actually secondary. The nose is like the chimney. You actually feel like you're pushing the stomach opens, air coming in through your nostril, and then you bring in the belly button back, and then you can actually feel air coming out of your nostril. Okay, focus on your belly button, just like the blacksmith is focusing on the bellow. Okay, now I mentioned about the five problems you have. Um, is an indication of very ill health. One is constipation. Two is um, that you cannot sleep, right? Uh, and then that's two. Three is that you have uh, a digestion problem, right, including acid reflux. And acid reflux is a digestion problem, right? Most people think that they have acid reflux because they have too much acid. This opposite is true. You don't have enough acid, therefore you have acid reflux. And you say, how can that be? Well, your body is designed so that when you have enough acidity in your stomach, that part of the muscle reacts to the acidity and it tightens it, close it so that the acid doesn't come out. It's when you don't have acid in your stomach that the valve doesn't close and you have acid reflux. It's the opposite of what you think. And so when you have acid reflux, it's just your system is out of balance. And so digestion, insomnia, and constipation are the three, dry mouth, and then cold feet. Now, it turns out that this one exercise that you do by breathing with your stomach, breathing your diaphragm, push it out when you breathe in, bring it back when you breathe out, solve all three problems. Right? It puts you in the rest and digest when you breathe out. It puts you in the fight or flight when you breathe in. Cycle you between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, restoring that harmony between your autonomous nervous system that creates slumber. That also improves your circulation so your feet are not as cold, or maybe your fingers are not as cold, or your ears not as cold. They massage your intestines to improve digestion, and it also reduces cortisol, so you can sleep at night. And then there are things that it does with the digestion, right? So if you don't do anything else, just sit there and breathe your stomach. Try to move that muscle. Try to move that mechanism, the breathing mechanism, away from your shoulder. Put it back in your diaphragm where you started when you first start as a child. You started that even when you're inside your mother's womb. Even though you weren't breathing air, you were actually pumping nutrient into your stomach, into your body through the umbilical cord. It's all done by the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the key, right? So it also can be measured. You can actually measure your Apple Watch. There's a measurement there called HRV, heart rate variability. And if you have autonomous disorder, then HRV is basically zero. There's no difference between breathing in and breathing out because you're stuck on one, right? You're mostly stuck on fight or flight, all right? There's also a study that shows HRV is related to dementia, onset of dementia, all right? So this one exercise is a good one. Now, the Chinese do this as a basic training, but they do something else. So once you know how to breathe your stomach, then you go to the next stage, which is circling the chi around your upper torso, up the primary vessel that we name after, that's a yang vessel called the guardian vessel, and then down on the yin vessel called the conception uh, vessel. Um, so we do this by focusing on the breath. You notice that when you breathe in, the stomach opens. You notice that when you breathe out, the stomach collapses. Continue with that. Now focus on the bottom of your spine. When you breathe in, move up the spine to the top, towards the top of the head, stretch your spine. Now it's very important that you stretch your spine. The spine is electrical. And when you kind of stretch it like this, it decreases the resistance. So the static electricity you generate in your small intestines can actually rise on your spine. And you do that by creating electrical potential. And that electrical potential is created between the chain in that chamber between the left brain and the right brain. Then when you breathe out, you start at the bottom, top of the head, you come down through your tongue all the way to your belly button again. And you lean back and you relax. You breathe in, you go up. You breathe out, you come down. Now, I was born in a fishing village called Macau. Well, it wasn't a village, it was a small town. It was a fishing village once upon a time. It still was when I was a child, but it had some modern facility as well. But in any case, I was surrounded by water. I grew up with waves, so I often go back and if you don't grow up in a fishing village, at least you can go to Hawaii or wherever you had once upon a time visit a beach. You go back to your beach, you look at the ocean, you notice that the wave comes up and the waves go back. You synchronize that with your breathing. The minute that you feel that you're breathing in, you move up the spine as if the water is coming into, rising to the shore. And then as you breathe out, it's as if the water is receiving back into the ocean. That keeps you relaxed as you're looking at the ocean, imagining yourself being next to the ocean, seeing the water. You keep relaxing as you do this, as if you're going back to the ocean. You realize that the ocean does its thing. You cannot change, cannot control the wave. The wave goes up, the wave goes down. There's even a space between how the water rises up and before it goes back to the ocean, there's a space. And then when it finally goes back to the ocean, before it comes back up, there's space. Find that space in your breathing. As you breathe in, you move up. Try not to participate in your own breathing. Relax, let the breathing happen to you by itself. And when it happens, you come back down. Once again, find that space. Don't be such a hurry to breathe in. Let the body breathe in on its own, just like letting the ocean come up by itself. Well, let's do that for 5 minutes. That's a very, very good relaxation technique, but it also has tremendous health benefit. Okay, you ready? Go, 5 minutes, and then we finish class. Okay, open your eyes. All right. So it's another week. So one of the things that I talk about is it started with one of the students saying that, oh, I missed the class. I get this all the time, actually, it turns out. I get it all the time. And students say, oh, something happens and I wasn't able to attend, and I'm back now and hopefully I can continue. And I said something about, well, that's just an excuse. Well, actually, no, no, right? And I apologize if it came out wrong. I didn't mean it like that. I meant to say that you need to just prioritize your life. And if you can't be here, it's because you feel that something else have higher priority. But I also want to say to you that not only that health comes first, but this exercise here gives you competitive advantage. So whereas you might want to prioritize your career now, um, you the practice actually helps with your career. It actually helps, right? So I hope you find time for this. So this my this weekend my family's all here. My I told you my son and his girlfriend came 2 weeks ago. He came back, and then also my daughter and her boyfriend also came. My sisters, my wife's sister, all came. It all came because there's something that they do together, and it's particularly important to them after their parents had passed away. My in-laws had passed away. It was a tradition, it's a family tradition, and the young generation want to uphold that at least once a year. Well, once a year, that's all they do. And this has to do with this ritual of wrapping rice in leaves. And so a lot of people say, oh, that's Chinese tamales. Well, actually, the tamales were brought to them by the Chinese. And there's some study about how the monks actually crossed the land bridge into North America. Some people say, no, not really. There was actually a monk um, that had visited Southeast Asia, actually brought the, the sutra from Sri Lanka to China, but he got lost. And he actually drift, and there was some study on that he got drift into North America. The point is, the tamales that you know were actually brought to them by Chinese. Now, these Chinese tamales, or whatever you want to call it, has a tradition, and it's a delicacy. But this once a year ritual comes from a story, a very touching story of an official who was very righteous and he cares a great deal about the people, but he was misunderstood by the emperor, and he was actually accused of treason, and they put him to death by uh, dumping into the river. And so the peasants were very remember all the good deeds that he did, and they didn't want the fish to eat his body, so they grabbed these rice leaves and just dump it into the river, thinking that the fish would eat them instead of his body. So my family's all here. You hear all this commotion, and then they left to do this all together, wrapping rice in leaves. You prioritize. That's important to you, and you fly all the way across the country just to be with your family. You prioritize. You know. So the story I want to tell is that my my daughter is here, and his boyfriend is here. Well, his boyfriend is a writer for Hollywood. He writes movie scripts, and actually, there are a couple of movies to his credit. And we were talking, and he says, this last 9 months has been really, really tough, and more like half year, really, really tough for the industry. Everybody contract from the, um, you know, everybody thought that the pandemic was bad. Everybody thought that the writers' strikes were bad. Wow, this is really bad. I mean, basically, the industry shut down for 6 to 9 months, had no income whatsoever. I said, well, you're like an entrepreneur. Back in the days when I was an entrepreneur, I'm 68. I've been receiving Social Security since I was 66. I don't know how I could have Social Security. I look at the list of incomes. There was just a couple of years where I actually have income. The rest of the time, I have no income because I was a struggling entrepreneur. I said, well, you're an independent screenwriter. You're just like entrepreneur. You just have to struggle through. But I said, think of you as a stool that has three legs. Three legs, because the three defines a plane. You need all three. And if one of them broken, you're in a bad shape. So you have to fix that one. But while you're fixing that one, you got to make sure the other legs are strong. Because if you broke another leg, then you have no hope. So those three are family. I just talk about my family. The second one is your health. And finally, the third one is your career. So as you prioritize, you might think that my career is very, very important. Well, build that career, build that leg, but make sure the other two are firm. Make sure you have family support. It doesn't need to be your parents or your siblings or whatever. It could just be some loved one, someone you can share success and failure with. I feel lonely as when I couldn't share success. I was okay when I couldn't share failure. But when I was successful, I had no one to share. Now, it wasn't that I have no one to share. I was living away from my family. My business was in Los Angeles. So it was lonely being in Los Angeles because I couldn't share my success. I could deal with not sharing my failure. Right? You need family. You need someone to care for you. So that's one of the three legs that you gotta make sure that is nice and firm. Health is the other one. It's only then that you worry about your career. So don't prioritize career over family. Don't prioritize career over health. Okay? All right. Stay healthy, stay at peace, and stay happy. I'll see you all next week. Okay. Bye bye. Okay, xin nghỉ nhắc Kiên.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sian.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.